Hello again, welcome to my YouTube channel. The next video has to do with the simple scale going up one octave with two possible fingerings. The pattern can be 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4 and can descend either 3 2 1 4 3 2 1 or can descend 4 3 2 1 3 2 1. So to understand, in F major, we can ascend by whole steps. Again, observing the rules, this is very important. Fiddle is very comfortably placed here, whether you use a shoulder rest or not. I go back and forth. I don't really believe that shoulder rests are as necessary as we think, but I also am not against them. The idea here is that the fiddle rests on the collarbone and is balanced between 2 points of contact, the finger playing and the thumb, and that the rest of the arm is completely free, and that the wrist can vibrate, and even the arm could vibrate if we wanted to, or the very fingertip itself. All of those points have to be free for all of these placements. We place the first finger, second finger a whole step. We release the thumb pretty much on the impact of the second finger, because at this point the hand feels as though it's wanting to go forward and gliding to third position. We drop the half steps. We shift the neck. Again, on the dropping of the two, I'm very conscious that the shoulder is free and the thumb is very soft here. Even if it touches, the feeling of almost removing it. And here we apply the tetrachord that we've known from the very beginning, of a half step between 3 and 4 and whole steps to the remaining fingers. We should be able to drop any alternate finger without the hand moving, or lift any finger. And the bass knuckle has to be free immediately. The lifting feels like it lifts this way. This way. The vibrato pattern feels like it goes back. And you can check right away that you're free in both directions. Or skipping to the third finger, or from 2 to the 4. Any combination of patterns. We have to isolate the lifting and dropping motion from the continuous freedom of the wrist vibrato. Otherwise, you can't vibrate every note. We want to be able to vibrate every note. Again, that's a concept. It's not always applicable. There's a phenomenal video with Daniel Hope playing a Romanian tune where he explores many non-vibrato sounds and other sounds, and also in the bowing patterns where he breaks deliberately many of the rules of catch and release to create a different sound. So we don't want to get boxed in by anything I'm showing you here. It's just the ability to vibrate every note is really important. So let's agree on that. It checks if the hand is free too. So that we have finally the going up, the then 4, or 4 3 2 1. Couple of hints about this. On the upward shifts, release the thumb first and all finger pressure of the finger before the shift. Make sure that you arrive on the note without any thumb pressure for a soft landing. On descending shifts, as much as possible, leave the thumb in place and draw the hand back almost behind the thumb, a half shifting concept, so that we can shorten the distances. A great exercise for gaining a benefit out of this for very difficult passage work that I'll show you in Izai Ballad and some other advanced things is that if the thumb starts ahead, and if the hand on the descending shift becomes ahead of the thumb, we can make a 1 octave scale feel much smaller. Much, much smaller. smaller that can feel from here. Or and here you'll notice that I'm observing a principle taught by the late Aaron Rosand. That is that we pay particular attention to the placement of the last note of the previous position in the new position. That means you want your whole hand to be in the new position. That doesn't mean that we can't use Galamian's principles of a squared note where you lead with the finger and then follow with the hand. Very useful. Very useful. But in the interest of framing and shifting, I want you to think of two things. The distance of the guide finger shift and the distance intervallically from there to whatever finger is going to pop down. If both of those are not comfortable, our French shifts won't be good. All right? We have to have, for any shift, so here, in this case, the fourth finger moved back a half step, first finger moved back a whole step. And that has to be a very relaxed change. That cannot create any tension. Again, I'm fanatical about a few things. That will not create tension in my left shoulder, inside of the index finger or the thumb. Same rules. You'll see that fanatical application of a limited set of values is what creates virtuosity. Having virtues, right? This applies everywhere. I don't care what you're playing. All of this becomes music later. If you're doing Beethoven concerto, if this isn't comfortable, this, the one here, from here, release the thumb first on an upward shift, okay? Measure the shift. Make sure that the lifting to the frame is comfortable. That perfect fourth has to be in your ear, yeah? The whole hand moves up. Yeah. So from the easiest scales to the most advanced repertoire, these fundamentals are incredibly important. The scale can be taught to a student in their first year of study, this idea, if it's taught properly. No need to be afraid to shift in the beginning. That should be learned as many places as possible because it will lead us to my next video where we introduce the 3-octave scale. The fingering that you learned today, going up 1 octave, should be practiced everywhere on the fiddle. And it should be done as easily as crossing 2 strings. So if I can do this, yeah, the concept, you understand? That there's just as much ease moving back and forth this way, because it isn't Mount Everest, as Mr. Galamian used to tell my uncle. He said it's 28 centimeters long, and then my uncle told me, Odin, don't you release trout that size if you catch them that small? And yet we think of this as some insurmountable obstacle. It's really psychologically awful, and it doesn't need to be that way, right? So I hope that this will help you, that you learn these very well, and then add to that the disjunct thirds. All right, that you are able to do on the way down. This is important. If this motion isn't correct to the C and the dropping of the 4, we're not comfortable. That can be done with no shoulder, by the way. Just to prove it, I'll take the shoulder rest off. Look at the space. Very good exercise, by the way. The last shift. Support with the shoulder briefly, go down. But you see, if we want to be really comfortable on the violin, upward shifts should be led by releasing the thumb and leading with the thumb. Descending shifts, keep the thumb in place and bring the fingers back to the hand. And practice it without a shoulder rest, even if you use a shoulder rest. You want to learn how to shift, you got to learn about your thumb. Very simple. Okay, there's your 1 octave scale fingering with 2 options, either do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do, yeah? Do, ti, la, so, 2 times the placement of this tetrachord, yeah? Or do, ti, la, so, fa, making sure the 1 moves back a half step further than the 4th finger did, right? And without squeezing into the neck. If you're in doubt, do it down here and feel that openness of the hand. Why should we get rid of that just because we raise the violin into a playing position? I don't think so. You watch Oistrak's hand, you watch Heifetz's hand, you watch Pinchas Zuckerman's hand. That's not going on. They're not squeezing that. All right? Virtuosity is the fanatical application of a limited set of values or virtues to every aspect of a task. You practice this way, you'll get benefit from it. Promise. Like my video, share it with friends, and subscribe to my channel. I'll be back with a 3 octave scale.